Right folks, we're back on the 1.9 CDTI inlet manifold delete for the swirl flaps, which we're going to do. We've got a few other bits here as well, like the EGR valve, the throttle body, and also an intake hose, which are all clogged up with soot and carbon. So we're going to have a look at these, strip these down now, get them cleaned out, and get them prepared for the swirl flap delete. So a closer look at the swirl flap setup on this 1.9 CDTI. The bar that joins all these up, I've taken the bar off already, but these are the actual swirl flaps, as you can see there. These have all been leaking. They're covered in oil all around there, and they are letting by and leaking. So what we've got to do is to strip this inlet manifold down. By the looks of it, it comes apart. So we've got some Torx pieces, loads of Torx screws all the way around there, which I've got to take out, so that I can actually separate this unit and get it in half. We've got the, I think that's a map sensor there, which we're going to take out as well. And that should reveal the amount of carbon that we've got inside this inlet manifold. As you can see, we need to clean all that out. So we're going to be doing that. As far as the delete kit you can buy, once we actually take these swirl flap inserts out, I think they just prise out, I'm not too sure, I've never done this before. You can buy round plugs, aluminium plugs that sit in there, and they squash in there, but they have been known to pop out, although people put seal around them. So I think what Jim is going to do, he's going to get his friend to actually weld plates over the actual swirl flap holes. And the one on the bottom there, this one here, the second one in, as you can see, is one that goes all the way through, because that's the actuator arm which operates the rod that joins all these together. So you need to blank that one off from the underside as well. So we'll be doing that. So it'll be a blank, 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 blank off, and also blank off the underneath one there. This joins to the actuator motor, which we're going to leave in situ because we want the actuator motor still to be working underneath, but it won't be doing anything because it won't be connected. If you actually unplug the actuator motor, it could throw up, well, it will throw up a fault code, and that's not what we want to do. Otherwise, you've got to go in and map out the system basically, so it won't throw a fault code. But we ain't going to be doing that. We're going to be leaving the motor in situ. This is the throttle body, which again needs a good clean out as well. So we'll be putting that through a cleaner. This is the EGR valve. Again, I did clean this a while back, and again, this is all clogged up again. So I did lose or drop the metal sealing ring. It sits that way around in the engine. There is a gasket on there, which is still on there, but I'm going to need to source another gasket for the bottom pipe. The charge tube, or the inlet tube there, as you can see, that's all caked up as well. So we're going to clean that as well. So first of all, I'm just going to put these to the side, and I'm going to undo the sensor there, and then I'm going to undo all these Torx bits there, all the way around, and hopefully get this thing in half. So that's what I'm going to do now. Right folks, there was 14 T25 bolts to get that separated. I can't see any more. So what I'm going to do now is to try and prise it apart. Get a little screwdriver and a little tappy hammer, and I'm just going to try and tease it in there. Again, I would imagine this is stuck with a gasket. So I can feel movement. Let's try from that end again. You want to be careful, you don't want to be smashing this hard because it's only a thin alley. There we go, that's gone under there. It's going to be stuck, as I said to you. So I don't know whether it's doweled on, so just be very careful. It feels a bit tight around this top edge here. I don't know whether I've got to take that sensor out, so let me just do that first, just as a matter of precaution. and that is a T27 bit. That's going to be very coked up as well, I would have thought. Here we go, let's get this out. Oh, look at the state of that. How would that ever read any sensing? Look at that, look. And don't forget, our car needs all these sensors working A1 for it to run properly via the computer. Right, so let me just have a recheck around the back here. It doesn't appear to be anything else holding it on. So I'll come in from the back now. I'll just give it a little tap through here somewhere. There we go. It is on dowels. I can see the dowels there now, so it is on dowels, folks. So yeah, you've just got to find out where the dowels are, I suppose, and drift it off of the dowels. It's a bit awkward shape, you see. It's handy if you've got it in a vice or something. Here we go. Don't forget, that's all probably sticking due to carbon build-up. And there is a gasket in there, folks, by the way, just so that you know. Let me spin it round again. There we go. Here we go. Right, what's this hold for us inside, eh? Just trying to free the gasket off as well, look. I think we'll probably have to renew that gasket anyway. So there we go. There's the inside of our inlet manifold. Look at that. Which has all got to be cleaned out. Let's put that to the side. Have a look at the other bit where the swirl flaps are connected to. And it's literally totally sorted up, look. There you go. Right, now I've got that apart, folks. I'm going to give this a good clean down. Look at probably getting another gasket for that. I think you've got to get another one for that. You can't mess about with that. Because once it's on and if it leaks, you've got problems. So I will be sourcing another gasket for that. Before I go any further, I'm going to give this a good clean up so at least we can see where we are then. So I'll see you in a minute. Right, folks, it's a few days later now. I had to order some bits and pieces. That, what I thought was a gasket in between the two halves of the unit was actually silicone. And I got some 600 degrees Fahrenheit RTV silicone gasket. And that's what I was going to use for, obviously, putting a bead around and then squashing it together. I also had to get a new inlet pipe from the bottom of the EGR valve. And also one for the other side of the EGR valve. So that would have been them two, as you can see there. That one goes there. That one didn't have one on this, if you remember. The side one was on there, which goes there. But I've got a new one, just in case. And also the inlet manifold. Although I've not looked at the car yet, there wasn't one in here. And I had to buy a new inlet manifold gasket. So that was that. So I cleaned all the parts in the parts washer, as you can see. These things apparently just push out. You just put a drift in there and just knock down, and you can knock out the old swirl flaps there as well. And this one here, apparently you squeeze the sides in. This is the one underneath the actuator arm, basically. And you squeeze the sides in, and apparently that pops out. So, but now I'm not going to need to do that at this moment in time, for the simple reason being, one of my subscribers, Andrew from Gainsborough, sent me an email and said that he's actually scrapped his car and his inlet manifold had already been welded up. So he kindly donated it to me. I had to go and get it, which isn't a problem at all. So I drove sort of 35 miles and here it is. He said it's only done 2,000 miles on the car before he stripped the car down and scrapped the car. And it just needs a light clean. It also comes with the map sensor and also a spare EGR valve as well as this fuel rail attachment there as well, which I don't think I need. But the EGR valve on my one, I did do a little check on it and it was leaking. So it comes with the throttle body, the EGR valve, and a new sensor for me to check out as well. And if I show you this, this is where it's all been welded up. So that's the top of the manifold there. As you can see, it's been on the car already. I think he said it's done about 2,600 miles on the car, so it shouldn't have much carbon in it whatsoever. But I will give it a light clean anyway. So that's the top of it, and the underside of it where the rod goes through is also welded up there, as you can see. So this is ideal for me because we don't have to do anything with this apart from a light clean. I will take off the throttle body and also that bit and the map sensor as well. And also take this EGR valve off and give this a little check as well. So I'm going to just give this a light clean up, folks. We are going to leave this one for the moment. I don't need to do anything with this, although I will get this assembled back together and push the swirl flaps out, because these swirl flaps are knackered anyway. So it'll be a spare manifold, but you have to run a bead of sealant all the way around in that groove there, as you can see. It's not an actual gasket, which I thought, because I can't find a gasket for it anywhere. And then you just sandwich the two halves together again. So I will reassemble that one, and may even go down the road of buying a blanking plate kit for this and also welding them in as well. So that's something else for a different time, but it's nice to know that I've got a spare, and also got a few other spares here as well, which is really ideal for me, sort of thing. So I'm going to clean this up now, and then once this is all done, I'll come back to you. Right, folks, I did decide to strip down this inlet manifold and give it a good clean inside. I thought it was the best thing to do, and there was quite a bit of stuff in there, actually. Look, you can see the state of the sensor. That was only after 2,600 miles, I think he said, the chap. So I really did want to get it stripped down, and that means now it's in half and cleaned. I've now got to put the bead of seal around the inlet manifold, the top part of it, for example. Put it over there like that. Run the bead of seal all the way around and then sandwich it together, bolt it down, and then you've got to leave it really for this stuff to go off for 24 hours. So that's what I'm going to have to do now. So let's bring you a bit nearer. And as I say, this is a black RTV, 100% silicone gasket maker, and this is 600 degrees Fahrenheit. So it should be well enough for this manifold. All cleaned off, all dried off now. All the old gasket has been removed. And all I'm going to do is in this natural groove there all the way around, I've cut a little hole in it, big enough, near enough what I think is the diameter of the groove. You don't want to put too much on where it's squidging in and out. So I'm just going to go on the inside of that all the way around, and let's see how we get on with this. Put it on a bit of tissue first. So I'm looking at that, and that looks a bit small, so I'm going to go a bit bigger. Right, let's have a look at that size. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. And the art here is to try and get it going evenly. And don't forget, I want the bead to be sitting proud of the surface. So let's just show you that nearer. So that's what I'm looking for, just so that it sits a little bit proud of the surface, so that when I put the top on and sandwich them together, it just oozes out a little bit. So that's what I'm looking for there. Right, I think that's it. So let me move that one to the side up there. Bring the main one in. I've cleaned all this down now, so it's all clean and dry. And hopefully lay this on its dowels. Make sure we've got it all around the right way. There we go. Yep, look at that. That's going to pull in nicely. Sitting on its dowels at the moment. So I'm going to get the screws now and plonk them back in. And that's the 14 in. So I'm just going to zip them up now, folks, and then I'll come back to you. Right, folks, that's it, all assembled again now, ready to go back in the car. I'm going to have to wait for that to... I can put it back in the car now, but I'm going to have to wait 24 hours before I actually start the car. So that's to let the sealer go off, because we don't want it blowing past and causing an air leak. So that's that. Also, I'm going to check out this EGR valve that come with it. I'm going to give this a clean, but first of all, I want to check, first of all, to find out if it's letting by or leaking. And the way I'm going to do that is to get some, just some fuel. Could be anything, could be acetone, could be white spirit. And I'm going to fill up both of these chambers without touching it first. I want to see whether this EGR valve is sealing off as it should do. Because what you'll find a lot of people do is they'll clean the EGR valve and then they'll check for leaks. But the trouble with that is that you don't know whether it was that leaking in the first place. So that's the reason why we're doing it this way around. So first of all, I'm going to pour some petrol down these two chambers here. The EGR valve in its natural position is shut, by the way. Just fill up both these chambers. Right, now if this EGR valve is sealing correctly, both of them chambers should stay the same height. Let's put a bit more in that one there actually, because I haven't filled that one up quite to the very top, but it looks like it's holding, to be honest with you, so there we go. Right, so I'm just going to leave that probably for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back to it and see if it's leaking or not. To me, at the moment, I'd say that's not leaking. It looks solid, so that proves that this EGR valve is probably going to be okay. Right, as you can see there, it's 5 minutes later now. That's not sunk at all, so that's the EGR valve that come with this new inlet manifold. And I'll just show you the other one. This is the one that come off of the actual car, and I'll do the same test to this. So let's pour some petrol in that. And already I can see it's flooding out of that one, look. That side's holding fuel, this one's gone already, look. So I'm not going to pour any more in there, it's just pouring out of there. So this EGR valve isn't working correctly, so I'm going to be fitting that one. Right, we're back at the front. I've taken the old inlet manifold off, and just to make sure that it's the right one, which it is. So let's put this on. Put it over the big one first. A little bit awkward with all these pipes in the way, but we'll get there. There we go, over the studs first. Right, that's it. That's on. Right, okay, so here's our manifold. Let's put that there for the moment. Don't need that old gasket anymore. And it became apparent once I took it off that I didn't actually need to remove this actuator bracket from the actual manifold. I could have pulled the whole lot off because there was only the two fixings, which were these two top ones. We're going to be keeping this actuator, and I'm going to leave it on, but I'm going to take off the little arm there, which is just a little ball and socket there, as you can see. So this can still send its signals to the computer, leave it plugged in. That way we shouldn't get any fault codes up. So that's that. And I can put this back on. Right, so let's put this on first. Goes that way around. As I say, there was no need to take this off, so just nip them up with the 210mm. And it is just them two that hold that on. I've got to be too tight. There we go. I've got to lean on them. Right, that's that. So that stays disconnected. The arm would have normally come through there and then through there. So now I'm going to try and wiggle this back into place. It's a matter of just going through these pipes and all that. Getting in there. There we go. Let's get through there first. Get it in the right position. Just leaning stuff out of the way. This is probably going to be the most awkward bit, I would imagine. As I say, it's just a matter of moving stuff out of the way. There we go. Oh, caught my finger there. Right, I'm just making sure now that all the connectors and pipes and stuff are in the right way and in the right position before I do the manifold up. And nothing's pinched. Get that round there. That's okay there. And the manifold seems to be sitting flat, so there's nothing caught underneath it. So I'm pretty happy that there's nothing caught behind it. So I'm going to start to install the exhaust manifold studs now and the bolts, and I'll see you in a minute when I've got them all in. Right, so manifold's back in now, and that bracket's back in there, and the electrical connector is plugged on that. I've now got the task of getting this monstrosity in. This goes this way up, or is it that way? No, sorry. Goes that way round, and there's a few fixings in this, but the awkward one is this bolt here going through here, which is screwing into the side of this canister down here, and I've got to come in from this way. So that's very fiddly. That's a little 8mm screw. That's the first screw I'm going to be getting in, and then hopefully just then levering this into place that way around. You can't get to this screw to do it up while the bracket is fixed back, so you have to do it while the bracket's floating, then put the remaining bolts in. Then there is 2 that hold the canister at the top, but there was only 1 in mine, so I'm going to do that now, folks. I'm not going to show you that because it's very, very awkward. You've just got to get in there with a little 8mm spanner, which I've got to hand here, and do it 1/4 of a turn at a time, unfortunately. Right, folks, I've got that canister back in now. I didn't put that back bolt in. There was one missing out the top there, so I just didn't put it in the back. I put it in the top there, and that canister's as solid as anything, so you might have to probably do the same as I just did there. It's going to make life a lot easier trying to get that little tiny screw in. It doesn't seem to do anything anyway, so I think it's just put there to make it awkward for you. Right, okay, everything else seems to be in place. That's the feed for the diesel pump. These other pipes and ancillaries are all sort of okay. That's the EGR valve plug there. That's the only other one that's missing, so I can sort that out in a minute. So what I'm going to do now is just to bring over the diesel pump, put it in position. I've put that stud back in down there, as you can see, by locking 2 nuts together and winding it in. So here's the big one. This is the one we were concerned about, and I want to make sure that that woodruff key stays in that hole in the pulley, which it is. So it's not loose in there. I think it's quite tight in there actually. Yep, so I don't need to do anything there. So I'm just going to try and ease this motor, pump rather, back into location. That's the thing, you want to make sure you don't turn that pump, otherwise the shaft slot will be in the wrong place. Oh, there we go, that's gone in. That's gone in. That's in perfectly. Right, that bolt's up there, so I'm not worried about that for the moment. So I'm just going to put that nut on for the moment at the front, just so that it draws it in. I'm not going to do it tight yet, 22mm. I just want to see if it pulls that pump in straight. Make sure I've got nothing in the way. Right, it's coming in now. Here we go. I'm going to tighten that up yet. I'm going to put these bolts back on the back side and tighten them up first. Everything appears to have pulled back flush, so that's my main concern at the moment, getting that pump pulled back. Right, okay, so I've got the bolts done up now to the fuel pump, the diesel pump. So I'm just going to tighten this up now to 15 Newton meters before I take them other bolts out. I'll set the torque wrench. There we go. Okay, here we go. There we go. I always just go a little bit more, I don't know why. Always have done. There we go. So now I'll take out the 2 temporary lock-in bolts, which basically are our casing bolts, and everything should hopefully be okay. So just to confirm that everything is turning as it should be, I'm going to get that 19mm on the crank nut again. Like that. I'm just going to turn the crank and see if the centre spool turns as well, which it is. So I now know that that woodruff key is turning okay. Spin the engine, just going to turn it round 2 revolutions. Just make sure it's okay. I'm happy that that's turning as it should be. Belt's still nicely tensioned. Someone did ask why didn't I change the timing belt while I was doing this. Well, I've already done that and the water pump a couple of 1,000 miles ago, so I don't need it. Right, that's that bit done. We can now put this cover back on, button that end up, and then I can carry on plugging in all the ancillaries, put on the EGR valve and the new gaskets, put on the throttle control body, put on the inlet pipe, and just plug everything else in. I've also got to do a little repair to that thermostat cable, which was down to bare metal. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll see you in a minute. Right, folks, well, as you can see now, everything is now back together, all plugged in, plumbed in. I've actually filled the coolant system up with fluid as well, and we should have been ready for a start-up. But in infinite wisdom, it's got a flat battery, My jump pack here, which should have been fully charged, has only got 20% charging, so we can't use that. And the jump leads are in Sharon's car, and Sharon's gone out for the afternoon, so we can't actually go for a start-up. So all we're going to do is say ta-da on this video, and probably next time we do a video, you'll see this, because I still want to clear some fault codes in this, and we got an issue with a DPF sensor as well. So I hope you can see it's quite a tricky job to do the swirl flaps on these, but it can be done on your drive like I've just done. And yeah, so we just got to get this thing running now, but unfortunately we're not going to see it in this video. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the little notification bell, and set your preferences to all. That way you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Thanks very much, folks. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, bye for now.